Okay, hi everybody. Baruch Hashem. Erev Shabbat Kodesh. We're going to have Parashah Vayeshev, and of course Chanukah Sameach. We wanted to, before going to Parashah Vayeshev, to talk a few things that were left out. We didn't have time for last time, which is very important to learn for what it means to us today. We know that when Yaakov Avinu was running away from his father-in-law Lavan, that Lavan took what it takes 7 days to catch up. He did it in 1 day. He was racing like a maniac. He was just strolling away, running with a horse. And when he finally got up to him, he said, after going back and forth, where did you take my daughters, my sons, whatever it is, he gets to the climax punchline, which you want to focus on. It's like, you ran away. My daughters I don't really care about. My grandchildren I don't really care about. The wealth you took, that's really yours, I don't really care about. What do I care about? My iPhone! Why did you take my God? At the time that he said that, why did you take my gods? Why did you take my Buddha? Why did you take my Lucky Charms? I can't go on living without my Buddha. So, very nice. Why is this part down and what is this teaching us today? Like I said, and give a hint today. How much are we slaves to the things, the little idols that we have today? Whether it's iPhones, whether it's sports, whether it's news, whatever it is. It's that we all have, everybody has to work on themselves. Everybody like a little more, a little less. But we have to take from this lesson and focus. Am I really a slave to my instincts? Or are my instincts a slave to me? And we'll maybe demonstrate this with the following story. We know that in the last generation, not too long ago, lived a very big Chacham, Rabbi Sion Abba Shaul Zatzal. And you know that he was very humble, as big as he was. And one time, you know, instead of taking a Mercedes or a limousine, he used to go with the taxi one time. And every time he went with the taxi, he would have conversations with the taxi drivers, which for the most part were not religious, they were traditional. And he would try to like get him back to Judaism, to the Torah, to the love of the Torah. So one time, one of these traditional taxi drivers told him, Rabbi, I don't understand. Look at me and look at you. I do whatever I want. I eat whatever I want. I go out with whatever I want. I'm having the life. But you're a slave. You can't do anything. You just go and learn Torah and come home. Go and learn Torah and come home. So Rabbi Sion Abba Shaul Zatzal, in his anava and humbleness, told him, my dear child, you got it all wrong. I'm a free man. I'm in control of my instincts. Whatever I want to eat, I stop myself. I ask, does Hashem want me to eat this right now? Is this kosher? Is this what he wants me to do? I'm about to get angry. I stop myself. Is that what Hashem wants? I'm controlling my instincts. But you, my dear child, you're the real slave. You are a slave to your instincts, to your iPhone, to your movies, to your whatever it is. Every time you, even let's say if he wants to keep Shabbat, he jumps into the Shabbat and he goes to the theater. What's the news? What happened? This and that. Hello, check yourself. Are we a slave to our instincts? Are the instincts a slave to us? That's one point. Number two, we wanted to go to another point. In Parashat Vayishlach, we know that when Yaakov Avinu was coming back to meet his brother Esav, he sends a message to him. You know, I'm coming back, and I live with my father-in-law. You know that he's the biggest crook that ever lived, Lavan. And you should know that I kept Taryag Mitzvot. Rashi explains I kept the 613 Mitzvot of the Torah. And by the way, I did not learn from his evil ways. Rabbi Israel Meir Lau Shlita, I heard this last week. He said it in the Maharam, in the name of Maharam Lubnin. I don't understand. If you say I did not learn from his bad ways, and by the way, I also managed to keep the whole Torah, I understand. But you sing it backwards. It's supposed to be the other way around. I kept the Torah. I didn't learn from his bad ways, and I kept the Torah. But you're saying I kept the Torah, and I didn't learn from his bad ways. So it explains like this: that I learned the Torah, I kept the Torah, but I am so disappointed that I did not learn from his bad ways in order to worship my Creator the way he worships his idols. Meaning what? Like we said before, he skipped 7 days worth of traveling in one day in order to get to his Buddha, to his lucky charm. That's how much devoted he was to his Avodah Zarah, to his idol worshipping. I'm just so sorry that my hitlaavut, that I'm not running to the mitzvah like the way he ran to the Averah. This story also could be explained in our own times. A few years ago, also lived another big rabbi, Rabbi Eliezer ben David, Zechut Hakan Aleinu. And we know that he was Eretz Israel. He learned with a lot of Gedolei Israel, but he was worried about a lot of the Jewish people around the world, especially in South America. That he used to go to Argentina and Mexico, what have you, and a lot of the rabbis that we see today came out of him. So one time, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 1986, he was in Argentina, and it was like before Shabbat, and all of a sudden he hears a thunderous noise in the streets. Everybody's going, he didn't know what it was. Maybe it was like thundering. Maybe it was beside himself. He opened the windows. He sees millions of people on the streets. So he asks his Shamash, what's going on over here? He's like, Rabbi, you don't know what's going on? This is the World Cup. They just made the goal. Argentina won the World Cup. And that's what these idiots are doing on the streets. These hooligans, drunk and killing themselves. Says Rabbi Eliezer ben David, until that point, I never realized how much I'm missing in my worship of Hashem. If these hooligans are going on the street for a stupid ball that goes into a stupid hall for 4 years, they're waiting for this moment to take that idol trophy and to kiss it. How much more so I have to do for the worship of the real God, the true God? These noises we should be hearing in ourselves every time that we're about to do a mitzvah. Am I running to like that crazy Lavan for his idol? Am I running like that crazy Argentinian soccer fan, which probably is dead by now after drinking and dying the next day? I have to use that same thing to do my worship of God. Number 3 that we want to talk about, coming into this week's Parashah, leading up to Chanukah, talks about Yosef HaSadik. You know the story over here that we're going to pick up when he's down in Egypt. He was a 70-year-old man, gorgeous, the most beautiful man that ever lived. The Torah testifies, Yefei Toar v'Yafei Mareh. To my knowledge, I don't know anybody else in the Torah or the whole 24 books of Torah that is called Yafei Torah v'Yafei Mareh, meaning he was extremely handsome. Now, between you and me, the Torah is wasting words to tell us how handsome Yosef was. What's going on over here? What's he trying to teach us here? So this answer is brought in the Gemara, that the fact that the Torah is telling us that he was extremely handsome and he still did not fail the test with the most beautiful woman in Egypt. Again, which where Chazal tell us she was the most beautiful woman, who changed her clothing 3 times a day. Put all the perfumes that would put all the perfumes today's to shame. Today, you think we have perfumes? They had Shemina Farsamon back then, which is unbelievable smell. We don't have that today. 70-year-old boy, alone, without his parents, without his family. What else do you think? A handsome boy, what's going to happen? But he passed the test. What does the Gemara say? What does that have to do with us? You know that in this third age, and in the world in general, how most of the people are concentrating on good looks, six-pack, you know, do all kind of surgeries to keep young. And the Gemara says that 3 people are, after 120 years, when a guy goes up, or when a woman goes up, they bring 3 different people to ask these questions. If the guy was gorgeous as Yosef HaSadik, we're going to concentrate on this one and the third one. They're going to say, the guy comes before the Beit Din of Shamayim, before the court, and they ask him, why didn't you learn more Torah or commit less sins? He's like, what do you mean? Look at me. I'm Jean Blair. Jean Blair. I go in the streets, women are falling down left and right like mosquitoes. What do you want me to do? You made me this way. You made me this way. He's like, Chas v'shalom, we're blaming Hashem for our faults. So they stop him. They say, wow, you're right, you're very good looking. And they bring out none other than Yosef HaSadiq, the most handsome guy that ever lived. And for the girls, you know what they bring out? Sarah Imenu, which also says Yefet Torah and beautiful. Rivkah Imenu, Rachel Imenu. Why do we have to know that these people were beautiful? Because these people were beautiful and they passed the test. The girl's going to say, what do you want from me? Look at me, I'm a supermodel. It's like, you're more of a beautiful woman than Sarah. That it says that the Torah, the Gemara testify, whoever stood next to Sarah looked like a monkey next to a human being. That's how beautiful she was. And she passed the test. She didn't go to Paro. She didn't go with Avimelech. And you know what kind of test it is? To be in a court, in a palace, and not to be persuaded to be. But she passed. She passed. And Yosef for the man. We have no excuses, my friends. The Jewish people, we know that B'li and Hara, by exception, they're also beautiful. But the beauty that Hashem has given us is affecting our inner beauty, which is our spiritual essence. And that's what Hashem wants to bring out. The spiritual essence, the beauty of the soul, in order to combine with the beauty of the face that we have, to work in the way of Torah, to contribute to humanity by being alive to the nations, and not Chas v'shalom, making a left turn, which Yosef HaSadiq and Sarah Imenu did not do. These are examples, and that's what we have to follow. Next point that we want to mention, if you're talking about Yosef HaSadiq already, and we talked about how this world is crazy over six-packs and working out and spending 4 hours in the gym. 4 hours in the gym! I had a teacher in high school. The guy was buff. Not Jewish. Buff, English teacher. I asked him one time, how many hours do you spend in the gym? He says, 4 hours I spend in the gym. You know what 4 hours you could do with your life? For what? For a six-pack? But what do you expect? A Gentile, he doesn't know what he's doing. But a Jew, to spend 4 hours in the gym and not learn from the example of Yosef HaSadiq. Why am I saying this? Because we're going into Hanukkah right now. We have to focus on what the Greeks wanted to do. Unlike Purim and Haman HaRasha, who wanted to kill the Jewish people physically, these people, the Greeks, which we have full of them today, if you think the war is over, it's not over until Mashiach comes. The Greeks came and said, look, we don't want to kill you. We don't want to destroy your beautiful Beit HaMikdash. We think it's a beautiful, fancy building. It talks to us. We also have fancy buildings in Athens. We have nice auditoriums in Athens, Sparta, Olympia, all these things. We love it. The body is beautiful. Don't destroy the Beit HaMikdash. Let's have a culture event. We love culture. What do we call, some people call Hanukkah today? When I was in America also, Festival of Lights. That's what we call Hanukkah. That's bringing down the name of Hanukkah. That's what it is to you? Festival of Lights. Woo! Light 8 candles and go. Yeah, like a sad story that I heard a few years ago. That there was the Israeli league playing with the Greek league, soccer, and the Israeli coach, who does he give the candle to light the first candle? The Greek coach on the Festival of Lights, giving exactly the Greeks what they wanted. Let's be cultural together, without any spiritual meaning. That's not what Hanukkah is about. If you ask most of the non-religious world today, do you know why you celebrate Hanukkah? It's the Festival of Lights. It's a time that we come together and we eat sufganiyah. Sometimes next to the tree, unfortunately, I remember coming back from UCLA when I was in LA. A lot of times, Hanukkah is near Xmas time. And there were houses, full of lights for Xmas. And every year there was a house that won the biggest prize. And the house that won the prize that year was a beautiful white house with the Star of David with a cross in the middle, with a tree on the right side and the Hanukkah on the left side. That's what you get when you treat Judaism as a festival of lights. That's what you get when you treat Judaism as it's just making another cultural event. Let's have a party in the Beit HaMikdash, Rabbi. Light the menorah, let's get the guys and the boys together and have a party. If you're Jewish, come on, let's have a party. We saw what happened on October 7th in that party. We don't want to go back to that. When Hashem sees that we're going with the Greeks and we're acting like Greeks, it says a pasuk in the Torah that Hashem will take His presence away from us. And when He does that, that's what happens in the October 7th. History repeats itself, but we have to learn our lessons. But just to end up on a positive note, we know that because it's so dark in our generation, on the other hand, we know that the light will come when it's the darkest point at night. The first ray of sunlight comes when it's the darkest of all. And that's where we are right now. So on one hand, we have to be very optimistic because the light is right around the corner. It's like we're going right now, we don't see the light, but we're going to get to the corner and we're going to see, wow, it's full of light. That's where we are right now. And we saw how much rachamim and mercy God had on October 7th, all the stories that are coming out. And all the people that, Baruch Hashem brought them back, these 60, 70 people. Hashem should bring back all the hostages. But one of them, when there was a ceasefire and the people were coming back, one of the people that came back, it was on the 9th day when we say Tehillim. The Tehillim is divided in different chapters that people say every day. And on the 9th day, we have Tehillim chapter 53. Over there's a pasuk that says, Beshuv Hashem Shemut Amo. When Hashem is bringing back from the hostages of His nations, Yagel Yaakov Yismach Israel. Then Yaakov will be joyous and Israel will be happy. What does that pasuk have to do with us? We have to see the light in everything that He does, Hashem. That day, one of the hostages that came back, his name was Yaakov Yagel. That Hashem's saying that everything that I do, if you're getting something over the head, I'm doing it with utmost mercy. And what does this have to do with Chanukah? Chanukah, we know that is a very, very time prone for big, big miracles. Just like Hashem did for our forefathers, the Chashmonaim. When 6 people went against an empire. Why? Because they went B'Shem Hashem. Maccabim means Mi Chamocha B'Alim Hashem. You know that today we all say, Am Yisrael Chad, Chai, Yachad will succeed together, but that goes B'Shem Hashem. Only if you have the name of Hashem involved. And we know that going back to this pasuk, Yagel Yaakov Yismach Israel, Yismach is the same otiod as Moshiach. And we know that Moshiach is an acronym for Madlikim Shmoneh Yemei Chanukah. Meaning that if we use these days right, we could go from our darkest personal events where we are right now, no matter how deep and how removed we are from God, if we get into ourselves and to spirituality and get the Yosef out of us and use the beauty that we have, get the inner beauty out and bring it out, and for the girls like Sarah Imenu, we could go from total darkness to 100% worth of light. And not just light, the spiritual light of Moshiach, which Bezat Hashem will have this Chanukah. Bimhera v'yeminu amen. Shabbat shalom warach. Chanukah Sameach, everybody. First of all, we wanted to thank everybody for the continued support and positive feedbacks for the videos that we send out. Bezat Hashem, this Chanukah, we wanted to do an 8-day marathon in order to raise funds for our Kol Ateret Shlomo here in the house of Maran in Yerushalayim. We know that just on Chanukah that the war for existence was in danger back 2,000 years ago, so it is today, the word that we have today for our existence in Eretz Israel. And we know that the slogan that's going around, Am Yisrael Chai, the Jewish nation is alive, can only be achieved with the combination of our spiritual soldiers learning Torah here in the Beit Midrash, in Ateret Shlomo, that could in turn help our soldiers in the front line against the Hamas. And B'ezrat Hashem, so we wanted you to be a generous contributor to this cause, so help us to help our soldiers win the war. So B'ezrat Hashem, please, there is a link below for the contribution, and also we have a Zelle option, which also you can see below. Chanukah Sameach, and thank you.